It was kind of stupid. But I did find parts of it where I was like, huh. Read it on ebook again. Why did I say that so weird? Ebook. Well, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Just Shauna here to talk about some friggin' books. I am bulk recording today, and I just recorded the 4 books I recently DNF'd. And now I'm going to talk about the books I have recently actually finished. The first one actually wasn't so recent. It was in October, kind of towards the end of October. I read and finished Fairlane by Michael J. Sullivan after reading Nolan, the first book. This is the second one in the Rise and Fall series. And I really love this cover. I can't wait for Esrahaddon though. That cover is so gorgeous. The colors, oh my God. Yeah, this is, like I said, book 2 of this trilogy. This is set in the world of Elon, which Michael J. Sullivan's other series are also set in, the Rhaeria ones, and then the Legends of the First Empire. I love this world. As you well know, if you've been here for a minute, I have a whole video talking about this. And I actually read this on ebook because I started it on ebook, I think. Did I? No, I read it physically.
I'm drunk.
I'm not actually drunk. That's just a thing I say when I'm confused. So this one I really, really liked still. The characters, as usual, I loved them almost immediately. But I was stupid and I wanted on Storygraph, it said like a certain page count, and I like went and looked and I'm like, wait, that's like the whole book including, Jesus Christ. And I went and looked though and I was like, wait, that's like the whole book including these pages of the Kickstarter? Yeah, Kickstarter backers. So I'm like, oh, okay, let me go and find like the actual end of the book, right? So I'm just fucking going here and I find the fucking end. Where is it? And it's gonna be blurry so you won't be able to see anything. Then I'm like, okay, Kickstarter backers, great. But I'm like, well, I'm like, oh, afterward, okay. And I'm not kidding, I was not trying to read anything. I just briefly like looked at 292 and then I just happened to glance over this page for a hot second and my eyes caught a huge spoiler for something that happens at the end of the book. And the fact that I knew that this happened did make it a bit difficult to get super invested in certain characters because I knew that this thing was coming. And yeah, so that's all I'll say about that. It definitely was a bit of a detriment to my reading experience because things that happened that would have impacted me a lot more didn't impact me as much because I knew this outcome to these events. World building, I mean, as always, it's great. I already am familiar with this world, but we got to see different pieces of it, different places, and I thoroughly enjoyed all of that. For the plot and the pacing, it was definitely a bit more questy, this one, which I don't always love. It wasn't a problem necessarily for me, but the ending felt a little fast, I think was kind of my biggest like detriment aside from having spoiled something. But for the book itself, not my actions, I think the ending just did feel a little bit fast. And the writing style, as per usual, I love it. I mean, I love how Michael J. Sullivan writes and does little emotional gut punches all the fucking time. And fucking Malcolm. I love Malcolm. Malcolm is like one of my favorite characters ever, I think. Just his journey, I love it. And it breaks my little heart. And it just makes me want to cry. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it despite having spoiled something for myself, which I wish I hadn't because the ending would have just been even more impactful had I not known what the hell was coming. So I ended up giving this one a 4.75. And then I finished Into the Riverlands by Nee Vo. I read this on ebook. I was debating buying these because I enjoyed the first one and I enjoyed the second one even more. And I did enjoy this one too, but I don't know if I will. I don't know if I need them in my life. I don't know if I'll ever reread them. So I don't think I would actually buy them. But yeah, the characters in this one I enjoyed. They were cool. I found myself not getting super gripped by this one for some reason. I just felt a little discombobulated. Maybe it was just my life because I was reading it in the last week and my life is in disarray at the moment with my house shit. So maybe that's why, who knows. But yeah, the pacing felt a little bit fast to me too. I guess maybe because the first two just kind of were different. Like we were stationary mostly. And in this one, the characters were moving, like Chi and Almost Brilliant were moving around a lot. So it was cool, it was enjoyable, not my favorite thing ever by any means. I just wasn't super invested in it. So I ended up giving it a 3.5 stars. Oh, and another one that I finished on ebook that I skipped. I actually finished this one before Into the Riverlands. Continuing on with the Their Vampire Queen series, which is just a paranormal romance, fantasy romance, vampires, very much smutty times, spicy times. It's the kind of premise for it, for this world, which I really like the lore of, like, in this world, is there are vampires, they're called Aima, and they have queens who take on blood, which are basically like sworn protectors, sworn guards that obey the queen's every command. And the vampire queens come from different like houses. And we have a girl who didn't know she was a vampire. She's been on the run for years. These monsters chasing her, and Two Blood find her, and she realizes, oh, I'm a fucking vampire. And has to like come into this world now and come into her powers, and she's got amazing powers and all this shit. And she's just like this never before heard of, just a very special little vampire queen. So yeah, it's just a lot of bloody vampire orgies for the most part, and they're fun so far. You know, I quite enjoy the main character, Shara. She's cool. I don't really see like the chemistry, but they say it's there, and they're like, oh, I love her so much. But it's kind of like based on nothing other than these like blood bonds. But I kind of don't really care also. And I do really like all the vampire lore and like the actual world building and like anytime something actually happens with the plot in that regard, I like it. So that's, I think, kind of what pulls me along. The writing style is perfectly fine. It is a little bit cheesy, corny sometimes, like the way the various men talk to each other. In this one, she gets more blood. This is book 2, right? 2? Yeah, this is book 2. And yeah, she gets more blood, and it's fun. It's a fun time. In this one, definitely plot-wise, not much really happened. But it was fun and quickly paced, so I wasn't mad at it. And just overall a fun enough time. I do hope we get more plot, actual plot, as it goes on. And I end up giving this one 3 stars. Next, I read Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Elle really loved this, and it is all over booktube now, and she told me specifically, like, I think you will really like this writing style. So I picked it up, and I did like it. So the characters, I thought they were really fun and silly and, like, kind of funny. And the writing style, I did enjoy, like, the authorial voice overall. It was pretty amusing in parts. I did tab like a couple of parts where it was just kind of that like nonsensical, silly, amusing writing style that I do tend to enjoy. It wasn't like consistently that way throughout the whole thing, I guess, but I did find parts of it where I was like, huh, that's a funny way of writing that. I like that. The plot did feel, for me, a little bit tedious in parts is the best way I can describe it, where I was kind of like, okay, I get it. And I honestly don't think I really liked the structure of the beginning, where we just get dropped into like our main character's doing a thing, and she's going here and she's going there, and you're kind of like, what the hell is going on? What is she doing? Why is she doing this? And then we like go back in time to like way back, and then we get up to the point of like, oh, okay, now has these tasks she has to do. She does the first task, and then, oh, what she was doing in the beginning was the second task. And it's like we insert like, okay, now she's done with the task, and then we go from there. I don't know. It was just weird. I kind of was like, why? I don't know. It didn't feel like it needed to be like that. It's not like I was lost. I wasn't lost or anything. It just, I don't know, threw me off to start the book. It just kind of threw me for a loop, like, what? Okay. All right, sure. And yeah, I thought it was fun enough. It was kind of whimsical. little fairy tale-esque. Like I said, I enjoyed the characters and everything and how everything played out. I just wasn't super invested, you know? I just was kind of like, okay, that's a story. I wasn't in love with any part of it, I guess, which I feel like is weird because everybody like raves about this. I didn't dislike it. It just was very kind of like, sure, that was a book. I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. Oh, another thing that really stuck out is the main character, Mara. I kept forgetting that she was like 30 years old because she sounded so young all the time. And I understand that she was intentionally a pretty naive character, but my God, I legit was like, oh shit, she's like 30 because she sounds 13 so often. And it was a little like overly naive for me. I kind of didn't buy that she would be that naive. Like, she didn't grow up in a cave. She grew up mostly in a castle as a princess, and then grew up in a convent, basically a nunnery. But like, she got out and saw villages and people and saw the world, and then started helping like deliver babies and saw various things with that. So it was just kind of like not that believable to me later on when she was so naive, where I'm like, girl, are you 12? So that was, I think, the biggest thing that kind of like bugged me about it, but otherwise it was generally enjoyable. And then I read book 3 of the Their Vampire Queen series, Queen Takes Queen. Read it on ebook again. Why did I say that so weird? Ebook. At any rate, once again, I mean, these are perfectly fine vampire orgy books. It's basically what they are. Fun and mostly entertaining. And I do actually really like the actual vampire stuff that happens when we do get plot points that are in that realm. I like it. Sometimes, again, with the corny dialogue here and there between like the blood especially. And also in this one, if you've read it, the ant attack, I was like, what? It was kind of stupid. But yeah, I'm still interested. I'm going to continue with the series because they're quick enough reads and they're fun. So it is what it is. I gave this 3 stars. And that is all of the books I have completed recently. I'll be finishing another one up pretty soon. It's a novella, but, and I'm also rereading City of Girls right now. But it's actually taking me like just barely longer than it would normally because I am annotating this time around. But most of my annotations are just me underlining stuff and going, ha ha ha. Because so much of it is so funny. The way she writes. Oh my God, I love it. There we are though. Like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined and you didn't already. Leave an emoji if you just want to make your presence known and say hi. As always, thank you so much for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.